Hey, dude, this dog like stinks, man. Okay, groomer, do something about it, man.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey, all you pet stylists. You found the GroomPod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susy, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anyone who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. One of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and co-star of the show, Miss Barbara Bird.
Hey, Susie. Happy day. My rose bush is blooming.
Hey, your rose bush is blooming. We've got sunshine. So that's better than the liquid sunshine we've been dealing with. Massive amounts of it. Yeah. Hey, welcome to episode 407 of the GroomPod, recorded on March 31st, or as some people call it, Easter, 2024 in Snohomish, Washington and Tucson, Arizona. This podcast is brought to you by our kind sponsors, Best Shot, Show Season, Precision Sharp, Groomore, and Stasco. And you guys, if you want to support us, go to our website, thegroompod.com, and you can click on the button that says Support Barbara here if you want to help her pay her bills and get to South Carolina. Or if you'd like to support us, the podcast, you can do that at Patreon, and there's a Patreon button there as well. So this week, we're going to answer a bunch of stuff that's been on Facebook, kind of hanging out. And we're going to also do a little chat about silicones. So what's new this week is brought to you by Groomore Software. If you haven't found Groomore, you're missing out. Groomore is an all-in-one software solution for your grooming business. Whether you are a solo mobile groomer or manage several shops, Groomore has everything you need. 24-hour online booking and forms, routing, credit card processing, reminders, Google Calendar and QuickBooks integration, and so much more. And the best customer service anywhere. Shop mobile or house call, Groomore has you covered. And they're giving us a free month. Just enter GroomPod22 in the coupon code. Hey, I saw a pretty nifty video of you doing some actual grooming.
Oh, I had a wonderful day this week with Miranda. And remember I said I was going to take my dogs to the do-it-yourself place?
Yeah.
Well, Miranda is friends with the owner of that place. So, and I had promised Miranda that I would groom her Bichon for the season, for spring, you know. And so Miranda said, hey, I've made arrangements for us to go to the Dirty Dogs, and she's going to let us use the facility. So I did save $20 right there. And so what happened was that we went to the do-it-yourself place, and I met Ronnie, the owner. She's really nice. And they also had a very quiet kind of like helper person that swept the floor and vacuumed, cleaned up after every customer is what she did. And that was wonderful. I wanted to hire her on the spot. She didn't say anything, and she was quiet, and she didn't enter your space at all. What a lovely person. There should be more people around like that. Anyway, I groomed Miranda's dog, and Miranda groomed my two naughty Maltese.
Oh,
and they were naughty in both ways. You know, they don't like their grooming very much, and they were matted. So she took on them, and I took on her Bichon. Lilo, her Bichon, is one of the best dogs I have ever known. I mean, she is a trained therapy dog, but she just does whatever Miranda tells her. She's just so intelligent and so trainable. My wild guys that are practically untrainable. But she has the worst Bichon coat ever, ever, ever.
Ah.
It's way too soft and wavy. It mats easily. It was matted. And then it just falls.
Kind of like that dog that I was talking about last week.
Yeah, it just is the floppiest coat. It's soft, and every time you scissor it, it makes a fucking indentation. And every time you stop scissoring, something pops out.
Yikes.
And they're suffering through with that grooming and trying not to show it to Miranda because she's sensitive to me, and she would have been concerned if she knew what I was going through. And I didn't know she was taping me until I looked around and saw her, but then I thought she was just taking pictures. You know, it was funny. So we discovered, we knew it already in our minds, but we became greatly aware of the huge difference in the type of groomer she is from me. I mean, we are yin and yang, black and white. She is a pet groomer, and I am a artistic groomer. And she just gets the job done. And for people who just want more of a barbering service.
Right.
And I am there trying to spray up this dog's coat, but not wanting to put too much shit in there because it's not like a show where they're going to get bathed the next day to take everything out. Is what do I want to leave in this coat? And just had a heck of a time. I did an okay job on her dog. It was okay. It was fine. But it was hard, and it took me forever. Plus, the dog was really rather matted, and it took me forever to comb it out. And then my two were over there. They were matted. So she was struggling with my dogs. I was struggling with hers. I asked her to take Marco's body down with a 7 because I wanted to put him back into his kind of Asian style, where he's got the fluffy legs. Well, she heard take him down with a 7. She asked me maybe I wanted to do a 5, and she showed me on his back what the 5 looked like. And I said, yeah, that looks good. Your 5 is probably like my 7 because she's a little stronger, firmer groomer than I am. I have a very light touch. And I said, yeah, that looks good. And then the next time I turned around, she had 2 legs shaved down. And I freaked out. And I said, that's not what I wanted. So we had a little back and forth because that's what she heard. And you know what? See, that just sort of goes to show you, again, it reflects the difference in mindset that we have about grooming. It reflects the difference, the where we're coming from. Because she didn't really register the artistic element of the fluffy legs.
Because I know you, I would have asked a follow-up question. And I'm sure that she just didn't even think about the follow-up question there.
Well, it's okay. She said he's going to stay clean and all of that. Yeah, right. Okay, that's right.
It'll be easier to manage for the trip.
And then I can't do his head by myself. And I tried. I did Little's head by herself and kind of fixed her up. And I left her coat fluffy. So now she looks larger and he looks smaller. So that kind of equalized them a little bit because she's really so much smaller than he is. And if she's shaved down, she really looks like a little spider dog.
Yeah, he's got a little meat on him.
But he's not fat.
No, he's just got a little meat.
I thought that he was getting overweight. Instead, I learned that he was like just right. He has a waistline. He's got a flat underline. He doesn't have a bulbous belly down there. So he's not doing that bad. And Miranda ended up offering to do his head for me. And I said, oh, yeah, because I thought I was just going to have her hold his head. She's got a much firmer grip than I do. So she groomed his head, and it's the cutest his head has ever looked. It's what I always wanted to do to his head, but couldn't.
Nice.
So that's nice. And so, of course, the hairstyle that she did totally matched the whole rest of the dog.
Perfect.
And his little tail is starting to grow out. So he got kind of a fluffy tail. It was all good. Then we went out to get something to eat after we finished. I said, where are we going to take our food? And we got a takeout. And she said, oh, I know the best dog park. It's not too far from here. So she took me to this like foothills dog park. And we walked down. It was like on a hillside. And then we walked down to a picnic table. And my dogs were not bad. You know, Marco, who is like so much of a bully in the shop, he was like not barking at those dogs, not causing a fuss, he was just chilling.
Interesting.
And Little was just frightened. She just wanted to pick me up. This is too much. What the fuck? And so she tried to tell one dog off, and it turned around and looked at her, and she started screaming.
Oh, no. Poor girl. Trauma. So tell me,
What?
did you take your dogs to the dog park that's all packed dirt after you bathed them?
They didn't get dirty.
Okay.
It's not like knee-deep dirt or anything like that. You know, it's packed. It's on the bottoms of their feet. And it doesn't cling. No, they didn't get dirty. And none of the dogs that were there who were regulars, they didn't look dirty either.
I can't imagine that from the mud pie that we live in the Northwest.
Yeah, see, you can't imagine. That's right.
No.
So there was this Labrador as we're going in the first level. We walked, through the two double gates and into the first level. And this black lab came running up and just stuck his head. I was carrying the food. He just like stuck his head right in the bag of food and took off with my coleslaw.
Oh, that's terrible.
Just a big black dog pickpocket. Stuck his face in my food and took the container of coleslaw. And so, the owner felt really bad about it. And not only that, the dog didn't want to leave us alone. I got my coleslaw and he hadn't opened it yet.
Good.
So that wasn't so bad, but how rude is that?
That's crazy.
It was crazy. But in the end, we got down to the picnic table. It was kind of a walk, and we sat down there. It was one of those concrete tables, and Little just wanted to be on top of the table because she feels safe that way. She was on top of the table, and any dog that would come up, she would go for him. It'd tow him off, and she wouldn't fall off the edge. She would just like jump right to the edge, and they would leave us alone.
What a trooper.
It was funny, and my dogs were so good at the shop and so good at the park that I think Miranda likes them better.
Oh, that's nice.
Because they weren't total assholes like they are at home when someone comes.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
Okay, tell me more about the DIY.
So the DIY was very bare bones, I would call it. Okay.
Yeah.
So they had sports dryer only, and they had about 4 stations, and the tables were not grooming tables. They were built-in tables at different heights. So you could pick your one. And of course, I picked one where there was a chair, but the chair was really lower than I would normally have groomed at.
Also, sometimes you can't fit your knees in there.
Well, I fit my knees in there.
Good.
But if my chair had been higher, it might have been a problem. So it was a little not perfect for me. The woman who owns it, Ronnie, I didn't really get a chance to talk to her. She had an errand to run, so she left. The setup was okay, but it was really kind of
basic.
Very basic.
Did it provide shampoo?
Yeah, but of course I brought my own shampoo.
I'm just curious. And did you pay by the...
No, you paid if you wanted just a bath. There was a little more if you wanted a dryer. And it was like that. It was like tiered a little bit.
I don't think I'd do it that way if it were my shop. I'd do it maybe hourly. And you get to use the dryer included with your bath.
Well, I think some people just want to come in and bathe and take off.
Yeah, well, they got to pay for the dryer too. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I was always wondering how that would all work, how the fees and stuff worked. Did they have a grooming arm?
No, they had loops that were attached to the back of the station.
Like rings on the wall kind of thing?
Yeah, rings on the wall kind of thing.
Okay.
And my dogs were really good about sitting on the spare table by themselves with their little loops on. They didn't try to get away or anything. They just sat there together and they were fine. I think they had maybe one or two outbursts in the 2.5 hours or so that we were there. They were really very good, and I was so grateful.
Did anyone else come in?
Yeah, there were a couple of people that came in and left, but nobody talked to us or nobody dared, or I don't know.
That's all right. So the only thing that happened to me this week is we got a lovely letter from the people from Indamira, from Glacial Rain.
Indamira, like in the mirror. Indamira.
They sent us a lovely letter that us mentioning them on the podcast actually got them a little bump. And if you guys went out and bought shampoo, thanks for that, because we love that shampoo and we love to support our people who have shown interest in the show. And she definitely shows interest in the show. And I know she's probably listening. So I thought I'd just mention her again because that was such a nice, heartwarming note.
Yeah, her name is Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. So I'm going to do a comb cut on this cat today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide what length to do. It's a rag doll. And I only see the cat twice a year, and this cat is a hiking cat. He puts on his he doesn't put on his harness. His owner puts on his harness. He's a young kid, and they hike all around the Northwest. And so they want the rag doll, the beautiful rag doll fur, which if I was getting a rag doll, I'd want it for the fur, but they want all that fur cut off, but not so short that it's shaved. So I'm thinking the lavender comb or the yellow comb with the clipper back.
I wouldn't use the yellow comb. That's going to leave too much.
You think so? Maybe I'll do the orange comb?
Yeah, I would probably do the orange comb or the peach comb, as I call it. Yeah, try that. Of course, the clipper back, it's going to take that soft hair a little bit shorter than, so that should be okay. But how strange. People, that's the wrong type of cat. See, now, temperament-wise, that's the right cat because clearly the cat wants to go hiking.
He's a great cat.
Yeah, people do that all the time. Sometimes they buy a breed just for the coat. Like the first Lhasa Apsos my mother bought, it was just about that coat because we just wanted to see those legs going underneath this curtain of hair. We wanted that look. Because how cool is that? It was back in like 1964. Like, sure we did. Just do that. Then have them tell you shorter, longer, the same.
Here's the funny thing about this cat. He never gets tangles. He never has a tangle on him. I don't think this kid, he's in college. I don't think he's brushing the cat every day. But for some reason, he has this lovely coat that doesn't tangle or mat. And yet they cut it all off. It's so crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it probably gets wet, gets stickery, and so they have to brush it and they don't want to. I have 2 littermate cats, and one of them doesn't ever have a mat, and the other one tends to mat about this time of year when he's shedding coat, but he didn't do it this year. Betty never has a mat, and she's the one that likes to get brushed. She's 12 years old. She's never had a mat.
So individual.
It is so individual, right? And dogs and cats.
Yep.
And
Yeah. Well, hey, let's take a break and we're going to mix it up a little bit today. We're going to start off with our B-Birds classroom because we've got to talk a little bit about silicones by request. So hang tight. Let me tell you about Best Shot's newest addition to the Ultramax Pro line. Ultramax Hair Hold is a flexible hairspray that can be layered on for a stronger hold. Ultramax Hair Hold spray is great, but my favorite new product is called the Max, and I won't groom without it. It's a fragrance-free ultra-concentrate conditioner and detangler. It reduces drying time and handles undercoat and tangles like magic. Just a few drops in the final rinse or spray it on and dry it in. Contact your favorite Best Shot distributor or learn more online at bestshotpet.com. Grooming success begins with Best Shot in your tub. Made from the best stuff on earth.
Groomers, take your seats. It's time for B-Bird's Classroom.
So when I wrote that ad and I said just a few drops in your tub, I was not kidding, was I?
No, less is more.
I love the Max. I mean, I don't know how I ever existed before the Max. I've got to be honest.
Well, I know how I existed before the Max. I used the stuff and or Chris Christensen's Ice on Ice, but
Aha.
there's a big difference between those two products and the Max from Best Shot. And the difference is that the Max is made with silicones that have been ethoxylated. Remember we talked about ethoxylated last week?
Yes.
The process and how it adds oxygen molecules to the chemical that makes it more water soluble. Well, the Max is one of a modified and made water soluble silicone. So it's cationic, and because it's cationic and water soluble, it adheres to the hair shaft much more efficiently than plain dimethicone or even the dimethicone. And that's because it's a part of the water. Whereas those other two are oils that have been emulsified into the shampoo and then fall out during the rinse when the rinse water breaks down the emulsion. Okay, that's how the delivery works. Now, when you're using it in a spray, the water evaporates and the oil stays on the coat. That's how I figure it works. So not only is the Max super concentrated, it's also super efficient. I have no knowledge of what the concentrations are of these different products, these different silicone products. If I did, it would help to explain a lot.
You mean like that Ice on Ice and those ones?
Yeah. Now, Ice on Ice, my mind is blown about Ice on Ice because I used it. I liked it for years. The way that they identify ingredients is they put down the chemical company's trade name. So what they say for the ingredients of Ice on Ice is Blue Sil 875.
Yeah, what's that?
A silicone made in China that is a dimethicone emulsion. So it's already emulsified, and it's called wait a minute, let me see if I have that. It's polydimethylene oxide. Anyway, it's mostly suggested for industrial applications.
Oh, I bet that makes it very inexpensive.
I'm sure it's very inexpensive because it has all of these large scale industrial applications. And this product has also been duplicated by other chemical companies. And some of them are made in the USA. But the Blue Sil itself is made in either France or China. I got into the importation and everything. I'm going, what the hell is this stuff? And is it really safe for cosmetic applications. I did find one knockoff of Blue Seal that named shampoos and conditioners and personal care. Okay. The rest of them only gave me industrial applications. But it is general purpose. So this is the purpose. Dog hair. That's actually no different than the bath tablets, which we'll get to later. But here we go. The Maxx is not only super concentrated, it's also super efficient by its nature. And it is effective at a much greater dilution than groomers are used to. So that's just the given.
It's an ingredient, right?
Yeah, it is a single substance, or it is an emulsified single substance, but it's a PEG. It's an ethoxylated PEG. So it's been made cationic, and it's also been made water soluble.
So it's really going to grab that hair.
So it's really going to grab that hair, and it's really going to not lay down too much. It doesn't layer upon itself. It doesn't build up. It doesn't really hold on until the next shampoo, and then nothing removes it. It's more easily removed from the hair with an ordinary shampoo.
So what happens if you use too much of it then?
Okay, so if you use more than necessary, it doesn't make a mess. The excess just goes down the drain with the rinse water. So it doesn't like just gather up on the coat because you've used too much. And then you have a slightly off kind of almost oily coat that I've done this with silicone sprays. I've gone over the line with it.
Me too.
And it comes out icky, sometimes even discolors a little bit. But that doesn't happen with these water-soluble PEG. They're all PEG ingredients, like PEG dimethicone 6, stuff like, or PEG 6 dimethicone. They're going to be like that.
Okay.
So the excess goes down the drain with the rinse water, and we're not aware that we've used too much. And the only thing that hurts is your pocketbook.
Yeah, and we're all about making a profit. We're not doing this for fun. I mean, we're supposed to be in business, and we're supposed to be able to make a profit. So washing it down the drain is unnecessary expense.
You can use it as a spray, or you can spray on more if you feel like you need it. And that's kind of the way that I would use the Maxx, is that I usually use it either in a shampoo or after a shampoo by itself, or I would condition it and then spray it with Maxx, using it in a lot of different ways, but also at a very high dilution. Like, you can dilute it easily 20 or even 30 to 1.
Yeah, for sure. Because 30 to 1 is what I'm probably using in my diluted spray bottle.
Yeah, and if you're using it through the Bathing Beauty, you're diluting it even more because you're using a lot of water. And if you want, you can not rinse. You can use the Maxx as the final thing and then not rinse it.
I do that.
You do that?
I do that with de-sheds and dematting. I always run it through the final rinse all by itself and then leave it in there. And I'm not putting very much into the water at all, and I seem to feel an effect. It's pretty magical.
Well, it's the magic of silicone.
Better living through science.
And it's very hard to duplicate those effects all in one ingredient like this. That's what makes it so magical. Silicone is really my best friend.
I'm with you. I would not want to groom without silicones, especially the Maxx. And you're right, I do use it either in the final rinse or in the shampoo or in the conditioner if I need to boost it if I'm not using a Best Shot product. And then I follow up with a lot of spray when I'm drying, because I don't just spray once, I spray a few times in direct areas. And I love it. It's just great. It has no smell for you guys who are worried about that. And it's only one ingredient, and I've not had any allergy or skin reactions or anything.
No, silicones are, they're inert, they're inactive, they're inert chemicals that are made from quartz or silicone dust, sand. It's made of the earth, but not plant material. So it's made like glass, it's silicone. I don't know where I was going with this comment. Sorry.
To summarize, don't use that much. It's hard for us who have always used ready-to-use products or self-diluted products that are conditioning and silicones combined together. It's hard to get the concept of actually how much, for instance, how much silicone would actually be in a formula of a gallon of shampoo.
Yeah, how little it takes to get a good result. And there's probably much less silicone in the prepared products than we might imagine.
Yes, there you go. Okay, let's take a break, and then we're going to hit some more questions.
Show Season has a great enzymatic cleaner called Kennel Fresh. And you dilute it with warm water, and it smells good, and then it evaporates to be a deodorant. As the Kennel Fresh dries, it's enzymatic, it eats the bacteria and the odor source. So it's really good stuff. You can use it indoors or out.
Find it at your local distributors or showseasongrooming.com.
We want to welcome Randy and Cheryl Lowe from Precision Sharp and invite you to check out their website where you can see their newest precise cut shear called Lynx. It's a patented design featuring a thumb ring that slides the length of the handle for perfect ergonomic placement of your thumb. Slide it and lock it into position to get your best groom on. Check it out at precisionsharp.com.
So, Susy, I want to thank Michael Olson of Cascade Grooming Supplies for starting the conversation that we had about why you would use less Max. And it comes from his experience of people buying large quantities of the product that he thought was too much for the size of the business that they had. So they must be using too much. He asked the question of Dave, if Dave could kind of emphasize to be stingy with your silicone. And then I butted in with my comments that you just heard me say. But I think it's so special that we have Michael Olson on a contributor team, because he adds a perspective it's different. It's the middleman perspective. He's between the groomer and the product, and he has an array of products. So he adds a lot of dimension. And when he asks questions, it challenges me to dig deep. So he's special to us. And I just wanted to thank him for asking those questions and getting me to dig a little.
Yes, and I will say about Michael, he's really great support for our local groomers. He's been in the industry for a long time, and he knows stuff we don't know about the products. And if you've got somebody like that in your corner, it is invaluable. So thanks, Michael.
Yeah, he knows the history of the products, which is cool.
Plus, he has a direct line into the factory, so if you have a question or a problem, he can call them up, and most everybody will get back to him right away. So that's handy, too. So, okay, let's go on to our next subject. Barbara, for skin issues, do you think it's better to cut the hair short or to leave it as it is, or does it make a difference what kind of coat it is, maybe? Like in the vet hospital, they always had me take everything down fairly short when we were doing medicated baths. I think some of that was due to drying time, though. What do you think?
No, I think it's somewhat hypothetical whether that short hair is best, because at the same time that you're taking that coat off, you're taking off the insulation between that dog's skin and the sun and the pollutants. And it's actually easier for pollutants to get to the skin without the hair.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's think about that. That's always been my question. Like, why would I want to take a long-haired dog, cut it short? Because the hair and the skin are a system that works together. So the more hair there is, the thinner the skin is. That's just general. That's one of the big differences between dogs and cats, is that cats have fur that is way more follicles, hair follicles, than dogs, and it leads to a thicker insulation, and so there doesn't need to be as tough of a skin barrier as when the skin is like a boxer.
That makes sense.
I guess this is a way in which I am kind of holistic. I don't go for a lot of the holistic woo-woo, but the idea that you can't separate the coat from the skin, the coat type from the skin, the coat qualities from the skin, those things are intertwined. And God made them that way. No, we bred them that way.
Maybe an exception to that would be a hot spot where you shave around the hot spot a little bit, but I agree.
Yeah, I think hot spots are a little bit different. And another time where you would want to get to the skin is if there's a parasite problem.
Right.
Especially sarcoptic mange. So then you want to have more access to the skin for medicating it. That's the truth. But I always got good medicated baths using the Bathing Beauty and applying full strength first. Wait the 10 minutes or however long the manufacturer suggests, and then rinse it around thoroughly with the Bathing Beauty. I got great medicated baths that way, and so there's that.
With the Bathing Beauty, you don't need to remove the hair. It gets through without any problem. So, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you guys have quite the influx of doodles as we have up here. We have so many doodles. There's just doodles coming out of every corner of the Pacific Northwest.
I think it's the United States of America.
I wondered.
Doodle.
Yeah. Well, some of them have some pretty weird hair, especially the Labradoodles that have the kind of thicker lab hair mixed in with the poodle hair. Also, the Bernedoodles, they've got a weird coat just in general. There's some weird mixes out there. So what do you do with the heads on those guys to make them look cute, even though they got wacky hair? My go-to is a schnauzer cut. Take the hair off the cheeks, do a modified beard on it, just if it's a boy, or a little bit shorter if it's a girl. Get rid of the weird cowlicky stuff if it's going to grow out to be odd looking. And I don't generally do eyebrows on them. I'll do a visor if there's hair to do a visor. It just depends on the weird hair. We have a lot of Old English sheepdog doodles, sheep doodles out here, and they've got some funky hair. They got some funky hair, especially on the heads. So that's one of the ways I combated that with my one Old English sheepdog doodle, sheepy doodle. I don't even know what to call it.
Well, I haven't ever done a sheepy doodle, but I've done a few doodles, including a Bernedoodle that had a coat that looked more like an Irish setter poodle coat. Except they had all the colors for the Bernese Mountain Dog, but not in the right places. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Not in the right places. And there was way more brown than you would ever see. In fact, the main body coat was this caramel, dark caramel color. And then it had some black in it, and then it had some white in it. The three colors weren't in the right proportions or in the right places. And the dog, it had already kind of a schnauzer face with a beard. I kind of emphasized that. But then I left the crown. I treated it sort of like a Westie head. I layered it a little bit.
Nice. I can visualize that.
And then use some spray or gel and just scrunched the top of it so that it was curly but shorter. And then it faded into the ears, which were pretty much left. And they loved my grooming. I'm so sorry I never got a picture of how I groomed that dog. I got so bad about not taking pictures the last few years because the photography was so stressful.
I take a few pictures, but I don't do it like I did when I was doing the Christmas pictures where I was taking pictures of everybody. It's hard.
I very much individualize my doodles, all of them.
I think that's good.
And I definitely do less perfect scissoring and shaping. I think that people want their doodle to look pretty natural. The exception is when people just want a short all over trim. So I get a doodle. I don't know.
Yeah, why get a rag doll? Right there.
Well, I get it. It's because they want the temperament.
Yes.
They want that mixture of wanting to please, willing to be a partner with their human, and just being a good-natured dog.
Yep, I get it.
Sometimes it's because they have an autistic child and they need a dog that's going to be able to tolerate the autism. And some of these doodles are known for that, and they can be trained to be companions to an autistic person. And that's because they're not easily triggered so much.
Yeah, so I think that's good.
I saw in the airport on the way, coming to think of it, in the airport on the way back from Atlanta, I was wheeled into the special access line to go through the searching.
Nice.
We had this shortcut thing. Well, also in the shortcut line, which wasn't mine, there were two large dogs with two different people. One was a golden retriever, and the other was a doodle, light-coated doodle. And I'm going to tell you, that retriever was so obedient and so willing. And you had to take all the gear off of your dog before it goes through. I guess that's been used. Usually when there's a ridiculous sort of requirement, it's because somebody took advantage of that at some time and put cocaine in their dog harness or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Crazy. People will do crazy things.
People would do crazy things. Those dogs were so well trained, but especially the golden doodle was just like really spot on. And when his person went through the walk-through search thing, the dog went to the nearest human and sat beside his left side.
Wow. Cool.
Wow.
I guess you'll do.
He didn't wander around or anything. He just like walked right over to the next human being and sat at his left side at heel.
Wow.
You know, like, okay, tell me what to do. My human's gone. You be the handler. It was a well-trained dog because he just had an option to freaking out when the human partner disappeared.
Yes.
Right?
That's cool. I mean, I'm impressed.
And the doodle was also very good, but it was more social with wanting to meet people.
Yes.
That's the poodle.
Love those poodles. All right. Yeah. So next we're going to do a little tease for next week's show, which was a question about Nagayu bath tablets or bath bombs. So give us a little tease, Barbara, what we're going to talk about next week.
So the question was, can I use a bath bomb in place of a Nagayu tablet? And I said, well, let me see the ingredients to the Nagayu, which she quickly supplied. And they are the same ingredients that I had from a couple of years ago. And I noticed that there's one significant difference, and that's that the Nagayo bath tablets contain washing soda. Soda
Okay.
ash.
Oh, soda ash. Okay, I recognize that.
Yeah, and it's good for cleaning around the house and good for cleaning flat surfaces and removing stains and all of this kind of stuff. I don't ever see it used on a dog or a human, but it's a detergent booster. It is, in a sense, a detergent in a way because it does act as a cleanser. And just to be explicit, most bath bombs do not contain cleansing ingredients. They just contain fizzing ingredients and the smells. Tablets are fragrance free, which is important to some.
Yes.
But that's a difference. And I would say I wouldn't expect a bath bomb to clean the dog, but I would expect a Nagayu tablet to do the whole job. And I would want to use a conditioner after either of those things because they tend to be a bit alkaline. How's that?
And if you want to know more, come back to the next episode, episode 408 of the GroomPod, which will be released after this episode.
Yeah, and I'm going to provide some more context about that.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, we're going to do one more question, and it's from Laura Hearn, the house call groomer, who wrote the book, A Practical Guide to House Call Grooming, which I love. It's a great book if you want to do any house call grooming. And she was asking about dogs that are afraid of the dryer on the face. What kind of options do you have? And what is this whole ionic hair dryer thing? And is it worth getting? And that kind of stuff. So I'm going to start off by saying I use an Andis handheld dryer, and it doesn't have ionic stuff in it, but it's nice and gentle, and I can turn the heat off and I can turn the blowing down. It's got some options there, and that's what I use for those scary faces. But we have another option. She said she didn't want to use the dryer brush, but with the dryer brush, especially the one that Barbara and I have, you can pull the head off and just use it like a pencil stick dryer, which is super gentle and not scary at all.
But I think the question is also, what's the deal with the ion?
Yep, it was a twofold question.
There was a twofold question. So for the dogs that are scared to have their heads done, I really recommend the brush dryer. But you can use a handheld dryer without any attachments, and it's going to be pretty gentle. A little too gentle for anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the newer handheld dryers myself that have attachments and are ionic. And the ions, well, I don't know. I asked artificial intelligence.
Get out of town. I did the same thing.
Oh, shit. Who did you ask?
I asked the Google form of Gemini, it's called now. It used to be called Bard. It's now Gemini. And I got an interesting set of answers, of which I picked one that I really liked. What about you? Which one did you use?
Well, I used GTP and GPT.
There you go.
I just asked it a single question. I just said, is there any science to confirm the claims of ionic dryers? What did you ask?
I asked, do ionic dryers really work?
What did they say?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what it said. It says, I'll read it fast. I'm a fast reader. Regular hair dryers use heat to evaporate the water from the hair strands. Ionic dryers emit negative ions, which counteract the positive charge on the hair. This can help reduce frizz, shorten drying time, and shine boost. So those are the things it says that it's supposed to do in the claims. So, do they really work? It answers. Said there's evidence to suggest that they do offer some benefits, particularly for frizzy or coarse hair, and I would add in damaged hair into that, right? Frizzy, coarse, damaged.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Although they didn't mention that. Some hairstylists recommend using the ionic function for smoother finish, but turning it off if you want more volume. Then it said it's not a miracle cure. It says hair type matters and heat damage is still a concern. Ionic dryers can be a worthwhile investment, especially for those who struggle with frizz. They may not be a game changer for everyone, but they can offer some benefits in terms of frizz control, shine, and potentially faster drying time.
Mine said much the same.
Oh,
I can't find it right now, but it was much the same. It was that the science isn't exactly set in stone. There seems to be a worthwhile advantage in the area of shorter drying time and more shine and close the hair cuticle kind of shit. But there can be differences in coat type, and some people seem to notice an effect and others claim not to.
okay.
So it was kind of like that, so it was saying the science hasn't exactly nailed it.
Okay.
There have been some studies where there has been noticeable improvement as reported by subjects, but there's other times where it's less noticeable. So mine didn't say heat remains a damage, but it's a good thing you got to, because that's the thing about handheld human hair dryers is that they can be too hot.
They are hot.
And so they usually have a hot and cool setting or a hot medium cool setting. What it takes to go from hot to cold is kind of different on different models. I think you and I like two different models of hair dryers on the Facebook page. You liked the yellow bird.
You might remember my Andis handheld dryer blew up and caught fire. So they sent me another exactly the same Andis hairdryer. Now, I think that the difference between the ones that are slated for pet and the ones that are slated for human is the pet ones seem to blow a little bit harder. I'm not positive that I looked for those statistics, but I couldn't find them. But the way you hold the Andis dryer, the place that it blew out was directly in front of my face. So the explosion happened right in front of my face. The Yellowbird, the explosion would happen on the side and not into your face. So that's the reason I put the Yellowbird up there. Plus it has 2 heat cycles and 2 blowing speeds. So I thought that was handy. But that's why I put that one up there. And it's been in existence since like 2003. And there weren't a lot of complaints about it blowing up in your face. So I chose that one. It is made for the pet industry.
Well, I used a human hair one. I think it was a Conair. It was ionic. And I had it for at least 10 years.
And it didn't blow up in your face. See, that's good. That's a good dryer.
And it didn't blow up. You had to move the button around to go from hot to cool. There's newer ones where you can just hit the button again. When you're in heat, you just hit the button again and it'll go to cooler.
Yes.
And ones that have hot, medium, and cold, I would like that. My experience with ionic is that it can make a difference, especially on the Maltese, Cocker ears, flowing flat coat. Really noticeable difference on that. I never could get Yvonne to play around with ionic or non-ionic. The Dan dryer I have gave me the option to turn on the ion. That's something that I would look for, because you can go too far with ions and they can make the hair kind of flat.
Okay.
But not so much with dogs that I've experienced. I have an ionic hair dryer. It's one of those kind of short-bodied ones.
Uh-huh.
And it was a very expensive one that I got at I mean, it was like a $200 dryer, or maybe 250. I got it when thought I had money, and I got it from Sally Beauty. And now there's a lot of them that look just like it, that have the really short body and the long handle, and the attachment. It has a diffuser attachment, and it has a reducer attachment that makes it be really faster. So the difference with the reducer on it and the ion, I think, makes for a faster drying. But the little shorty doesn't fit in the cradle of my arm on my table. So I brought it home, and it works for me really good. And it has a diffuser that I use on my curly hair, and it dries my hair in like 5 minutes. Of course, I have no hair left, but just saying.
I have a little one just like you're talking about. It's actually a travel one. The handle folds down. So when my Andis blew up in my face, I thought, well, I'll just go buy another one of those, because why do I want to carry around a big, long, nozzled one? Well, it turned out it didn't blow nearly as hard. It did a really crappy job on the dogs, but it was very interesting to see that the one that I perceive as drying my own hair really fast was not very effective on the dogs. And it has 2 heat settings, but it has only on and off for blowing. So there's no way to lighten up the blowing but keep the heat on. So I don't know if that made a difference. Anyway, that's our suggestions on the handheld dryer thing. But Barbara and I both use those brush dryers, and me oftentimes without the brush on it, to dry those little tiny faces. All right. Well, that was fun. Remember to come back again and learn more about Nagayu tablets and bath bombs next week on the GroomPod. And exciting things going on all the time. Barbara's been working on her book, and she's working on the move. So if you guys want to support her, hit the donation button. I give that right to her. It goes just straight to Barbara's bank account. Thanks for being here. Remember to support our sponsors, and happy grooming. See you next time on the GroomPod. Bye, everybody.
And take care of yourselves. Don't treat yourself like a mule. You're an athlete. Bye-bye. See you next time.